Hello across space time and possibly in the demon realm. I'm Richard, the star of Deep Space and Dragons.
And I am Karl, the cosmos that we explore so deeply.
That's actually pretty good. So, before we get too deep into today's episode, what's new in the Karlverse? Unless it's a fully unrelated movie review of Scream 3, then no.
Unfortunately, no, actually, no. Okay, so my boss, he decided he needs new desk furniture.
Okay.
Yeah, well, so I mean, you would think that's not really my new office furniture, not new desk furniture. He wanted a new desk. He had a really old desk. He'd had it for years, and so we lug it out of the office and we load it up onto his truck, and he takes it to the thrift store. And they didn't want it, so he had to bring it back to the store. And then I had to He-Man flip it out of the truck so it would smash into pieces. And one of the other workers came in with a crowbar and just going all office space on this old desk so we could get into small enough chunks to throw in a garbage can.
So back when I worked at, I'm just going to name drop the keg. They're not rehiring me anytime soon. We had to destroy an old wooden door. So we ended up going to the hardware store that was in the same block and buying a saw and a machete.
Oh.
So we were able to
hardcore.
Yeah, we macheted the store to death and then had to hand in our receipt to be reimbursed for the machete we bought to machete the store in half. It was a fantastic use of resources for your trained cook. So I weirdly approve of this. Uncharacteristically, I'm like, you gotta smash some furniture. You gotta smash some furniture.
But so then for a week, he didn't have a desk. And so whenever I had to do any actual office work, because as a manager I sometimes have to do that kind of stuff, I had to sit on the floor to use the. No, I mean mostly they use the computer to work on immigration stuff, because I mean now Canada has drastically reduced the number of people they want to immigrate, but there's lots of people who need jobs from foreign countries. So,
I mean, going into, for those listening right now, just to date this for future archaeologists, we're sitting in March of 2025. I don't really feel like I normally should date it because we're timeless artwork, and dating it may lose some value of the episode. But just for context, just Google Canada, United States immigration, March 2025, and see what you see. That's it. Because in 5 years, they're going to be like, oh, this was a wild, wild week.
but yeah, so it's for a week I had to sit on the floor to use the computer. And then finally today, the furniture company came in and they built this desk in his office. Then I spent most of my day putting everything back together to get it back to being a functioning office again.
Well, as long as it wasn't, actually, I was about to get political again. No, I'm just good with this. No, this is a Canadian podcast. Buy Canadian goods if you can, whoever you are listening. As I just lost all of our subscribers.
What's new with you there, Richard?
So last week was reading week, which normally I'm I'm going to write an entire book or do something heroic. But after I got my acceptance into grad school, I'm or I can play Monster Sanctuary, lie on the couch, watch My Adventures of Superman, and just not burn myself out for a week. So I did that. And I'm pretty happy with myself.
Yeah. That does sound pretty delightful.
Yeah, so I pretty much just chilled for a week. I did get some work on my novel done, where I kind of had to take apart all the chapters and restructure them and move some of things around for it to make a better story arc. And it's one of those moments where I'm going to revise my book. Did you write any words or do any edits? No, but I read my entire book and basically it's turned into a bunch of post-it notes to scatter around like a conspiracy corkboard. That counts as work. So,
with little strings to different events and everything?
Kinda. It's a digital version of that. I think I showed you the mirror boards before.
But yeah, I think you have.
But yeah, basically that. It was a series of post-it notes. I regret nothing. And then I guess the other new thing with me is like I've gotten into making slow cooker tacos where I dice up all my ingredients and throw them in the slow cooker with taco spice so I can then have tacos waiting for me. Oh, and my coffee maker broke, and
Tacos sound
like I wrote a
delicious.
sad poem for it that I sent to some context because I don't know if I've ever been more heartbroken than my coffee maker breaking. 7 years, 2 to 3 pots of coffee a day. This machine, like, it made sense it died of old age. It died of overwork. But it was also $20 7 years ago, and a new one cost me $20. With my current budget, being able to just buy a new, yeah, $20. That's an amount of money I actually have.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. See, like, there's lots of fancy coffee machines, but like, really, the one that has like 2 buttons that are like brew coffee and brew coffee later, and maybe a blinky clock. That's it. I don't need no fancy ass espresso bar yet. You can make me eat my words on episode 200 where I'm gloating about my fancy new espresso machine. Because given the means and opportunity and space, me having a needlessly elaborate coffee setup is an inevitability. But that'll be after my master's program is done. Which I think I've decided which one.
After you're a coffee master.
Actually, you know, it'd be amazing. Like, legitimately, if I got a comms job at like Nescafe, and just got like one of those sick, like, because one time when I had my ramen packet gaming company going for a while when we were experimenting making TTRPG stuff, I actually got like a message from Nescafe being like, does your office need one of our $2,000 coffee machines? I'm like, I appreciate that I look like a big enough deal. You try and sell me this. Like, I felt
That's pretty funny.
I felt special to be like. I also got a free Stella Viertos engraved mug a while back because they're like, your company should get these mugs for Christmas. Would you like a free sample of one? And I'm like, sure. I'm not going to say no to free swag. And also, for the record, now when I do successfully like have a publishing house someday, I probably will buy their mugs because I'll be like, I remember that time they gave me a free mug. That was cool. Like, everyone loves a good engraved mug, especially if you're sassy with it. Like, if you got, like, Carl, but there's, like, a C and it was slashed out and then a K was there, you'd enjoy that mug.
I would enjoy that mug.
And
I've definitely seen that so many times where people put the C and then they just have to add the extra line and it looks like a disfigured K.
And I guess the last, not really new with me, more like thing I haven't told you about yet. So they're putting out a new Gundam miniatures game where they make mini Gunpla to assemble and play on a grid game.
Okay.
So they make like 1-inch, they're not SDs, they're like 1-inch tall Gundams and ships. They battle on a grid to hack, so you assemble your Gunpla, paint them, and then like play Warhammer with them on this grid. Price pending, that's really cool and you know it.
Yeah, that does sound pretty cool.
Because I like building Gunpla, but I don't quite have the energy to do anything other than a SD one just due to, like, energy constraints and time constraints. But it's like, oh, it's about that complicated. Like, they're not posable because, like, they're just kind of in-action poses to, like, work as miniatures. But they are, like, the little runner things you assemble. Right. Like, that's awesome. Also, it lets them, like, put the runners in...
sound awesome.
It lets them put the runners in booster packs if they want, which is really funny to me. I don't know if they're going to distribute it that way, but I do think it'd be funny to buy booster packs of model kits.
Wait, these are like actual Gunplas and not like digital?
Yeah, it's a physical Gunpla that makes a 1-inch tall model kit you build to play Warhammer with them.
Huh.
That's sick and you know it.
That does sound sick.
They said the army size is closer to like 5 v5 at like most, because it's like, yeah, no, most Gundam fights, despite them like showing a lot of enemies off screen, really aren't that many dudes that are fighting. And I'm like, I can't afford a Warhammer army, nor do I have the motivation to. But 5 Gundams, price pending? Yeah. That seems like a great grad gift for myself. Along with paying back loans. Oh, I guess the last new with me is, it was one of my friend's birthdays over the weekend, so we had like a all-you-can-eat sushi video game party.
Ooh, nice.
And we go for all-you-can-eat sushi. One of my friends brought a VR headset that we were streaming to a TV to watch people like beat sabers and get attacked by monsters and things. And then we played Mario Kart and Mario Party. We only played the co-op Mario Party, like the rafting mini game.
Mm.
And then Mario Kart, I just absolutely dominated, which is out of character for me. I just remember Carl's advice of find the mathematically shortest path. Pick average standard kart.
Yeah, see, the thing about Mario Kart is that, unlike real life, you don't actually have to worry about traction, and thus you can just take the physically shortest path, which is the inside of the curve. It's like the ideal line is actually just the ideal line.
But more importantly, the dirty look I got from Cassie when I said, well, according to Karl, Mario Kart expert, you drive the shortest path. It's like I finish the lap, pick up a bowl of chips, eat one, and then give this explanation about how to play Mario Kart to a person who has absolutely beaten me many times at Mario Kart. It was just such a moment.
That's pretty funny.
Well, it's funny. Like, I was talking to one of my friends who'll be redacted for this podcast, being like, oh, I'm worried that you and Cassie hold your punches when you played board games with me. I'm like, you do not understand who I am as a person. There's no version of reality where I let someone win a board game if I can help it. And Cassie is worse.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Like, could you imagine a situation where I let you win a game willingly?
Oh, no. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I win, but that doesn't, not because you tried to let me win.
No. Instead, like, I'll be like, I don't know, it's 3 games in a row, I should probably let Carl win, he might just not play this anymore. Then I have a flashback being punched in the face in a bouncy castle, and then suddenly it's all gone. Like, I aspire to be Seto Kaiba, and it's not Seto Kaiba climbs on the side of a cliff and says, your attack will off me off the cliff, you better be prepared to kill me. And that is the correct gaming attitude. I say like I wasn't playing a one-player monster platformer, just dead vibing with myself this week, because it's like, I'm so hardcore and play such non-hardcore games.
Mm.
And, one last new with me, even though it's not really about me. Did you watch the Pokemon Direct yet?
I didn't watch the Pokemon Direct, but I did watch the Pokemon AZ trailer, the Legends AZ, and the Pokemon Champions trailer, which didn't give any details about what Pokemon Champions actually was.
I assume they just bought Pokemon Showdown because it'd be funny.
That would be pretty funny.
And I just want to be like, not really new with me, but people have such strong opinions on Totodile, Chikorita, and Tepeg. One of two things happen. People either hate that Tepeg's there, or they spite pick Tepeg because people hate that Tepeg's there.
And then, why is Tepeg there?
Because Cyndaquil got canceled.
Yeah, but what Cyndaquil do?
Apparently Typhlosion learned lowly hiking women into the mountains in a leak about a canceled Pokedex entry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Just to tell that anecdote that when they had that massive Poke leak, it's like, yeah, no, Typhlosion's a predator and got canceled, and then he's not in the next game. It's just really funny. Like, he's not actually in it because he was one of the starters in Arceus. But it's so much funnier to think he got canceled because his internet history got leaked and cancel culture got to him. It's just funnier. / partly true. But that's enough of the preamble, I think. So, Dragon Ball Daima. I'm going to start with a blanket statement. Dragon Ball Daima is probably the 3rd or 2nd best Dragon Ball series.
Huh.
Unless we count Sandland, which drops at a place. My actual favorite Dragon Ball series. Specifically the first 12 episodes of Sandland.
Oh, okay. Is Sandland still being released?
No, they released it 2 seasons. 12 episodes, that was the straight-up manga, and then 12 episodes, that was like a sequel.
Ah, okay.
And though, kind of like a sequel one, wasn't as good. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good.
Right.
Which is... They're, like... By not being worse, they kind of get bonus points, honestly, because it wasn't going to be better.
Okay, well, so then, what are the two Dragon Ball series that rank above Daima?
Dragon Ball
Obviously.
and Dragon Ball. So, in my own internal naming, I've been calling it like Z1 and Z2. I kind of wish the Buu Saga was just called Dragon Ball Kai, even though that's not what that means. Because they're such separate shows. So I have Dragon Ball and a Dragon Ball Z up till the end of the Cell games above it.
Yeah, okay. Because I think we've mentioned this a couple times on this podcast, but the end of the Cell Saga was a really nice ending to the series in general, because he handed the torch on to the next generation to be the protector of Earth, and then they just kind of undid that for the Buu Saga.
Mm-hmm. And the Buu Saga also definitely suffers from anime pacing more than it. Like, if you read the Buu Saga, you don't have 20 episodes. Like, Buu himself. They like to say that, like, One Piece has the longest fight scene in anime, but that's because you're not counting Buu and his transformations as one fight, which would literally just be like 100 episodes of TV was just fighting Buu, if not more. Well, think about it. All they did was fight Buu. That was all that Buu Saga was after Babidi got decapitated. It was basically Sakuna Gate OG.
Okay, but so King Deborah, though, he had spit that could turn people to stone, right?
Yes.
Yeah, just double checking. But so basically, what you're saying is that you think that original Dragon Ball, which also my favorite, and then Dragon Ball Z up to the end of the Cell Saga, you would rate those higher than Daima, but you would rate Daima higher than
the Buu Saga it's based on, ironically. Because next on my list would be the Buu Saga. Then it would be Super. Then it would be... I guess I have to put GT on the list, sure.
Yeah, okay, but so, like, why do you dislike GT so much?
So when's the last time you went through GT?
Oh, not recently, that's true.
So GT isn't actually as long as you think it is. It's like 50 episodes or something?
Yeah, there's only like 2 seasons. So GT... they go into space, they come back, they deal with Baby, and then... Then the Dragon Balls break and release the evil dragons?
So, the main problem I have with GT is it forgot that it had characters. So, the only character who does anything in GT is Kid Goku.
Okay.
Objectively, the worst character to have do anything, because he's the only one who got nerfed. So, the Baby Saga GT is actually really interesting. If I broke all like my ZBZ ratings into sagas, Baby Saga would like go weirdly high on the list. Because evil alien that's an enemy of the Saiyans going around and body jacking his way up to create baby Vegeta. Like, yeah, sure, there's no original ideas in this. They're just setting up Goku versus Vegeta. But that was an interesting setup and payoff. It also gave a narrative reason for Goku to be the main character of that arc, because no one else was there. So Super Saiyan 4 is a literal ass pull. They use tweezers to pull his tail out. They literally pull it out of his ass, which is kind of funny when you think about it. But the most egregious thing GT does, other than a brutal character assassination of Goku, is they put in Trunks and make him a boring straight man instead of either Kid Trunks, who's a sassy little bastard, or Future Trunks, who is a traumatized Overlord. He goes Super Saiyan to lift some rocks, and that's his extent of impact on the show. And Pan does nothing.
No. Pan does stuff.
No.
Mostly get captured so that Goku can rescue her.
Do we have a non-sexist reason for why the kid that was shown to be strong, like it's stronger than Oob during the kids martial arts tournament, that literally the strongest child of the series just became a damsel in distress every week, including being turned into a literal doll by a villain and then fed to a munchkin troll? But that's not what I hate GT. What I hate GT is actually distilled down to a line in the Shadow Dragon arc.
Okay.
A character says, and it was Fire Shenron, Goku, we need a fight. And then he goes, I don't want to fight you.
Huh.
So Goku fights all 7 of the Shadow Dragons.
Right.
And doesn't want to fight anybody. Everyone is alive and functional in the show and they send Kid Goku to go fight each dragon one at a time, Power Ranger style. Why would you not use any of your cast? Why didn't you have like Vegeta go fight one and Oob go fight one, for example? So like they just forgot. So, and also I hate GT because it doesn't work as a standalone show. It's like you're expected to have watched all of Dragon Ball Z, but they're not willing to use anything from Dragon Ball Z. It's weird. It's like we're gonna steal Android Super 17 for some reason, but we're then only gonna have Goku matter in this plot arc. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna have Android 18 and 17 have this dramatic heart-to-heart. Characters we did not use in this show. We're gonna build up Oob at the end of Z and not use him in this show. That's my problem with GT, is they don't use anybody that they wrote. Although, ironically, GT's ending is actually really good, but that's a story for another day. So, the best parts of Dragon Ball Z are when Goku's not there, as a general rule. And GT is just Goku's there the whole time, but it's the worst version of Goku.
Okay, so you think that the characterization of Kid Goku that they put into Daima is better than GT?
Absolutely. First off, he was fun. And second off, other characters mattered. So it's like, if you're going to make Goku an idiot, which is a fair writing choice, although I think we agree that they made Goku a caricature of himself over the course of Super.
Yeah.
The characters he's paired with needed to be in the journey because Goku's incompetent. So, Glorio was actually useful the entire show. Because, like, he knew the location, he booked the hotel, he crashed the planes, he stole the Dragon Balls, he did the backstab, he fired the pew-pew gun. He had a reason to be there. He made quips to play off Goku. No one played off Goku in GT. So they didn't actually, like, Trunks made a bad straight man for the straight man comedy duo. Glorio made a great straight man for the duo. And Supreme Kai honestly needed more screen time, and I was fine with that. So, for the first half of Daima, Goku's running on all cylinders, because Goku's doing objectively funny shit. Goku and Glorio just ignoring the Minotaur to fight to the death was objectively funny.
Yeah, okay.
But like in GT, they're just like, Goku Trunks shoot the Minotaur, and that would be it. They forgot to put a bit there.
Yeah, okay. Because, I mean, like I say, I haven't watched GT recently.
Correct. Correct choice. Don't do it.
Well, I mean, when I was younger and it was on, like, Teletoon or YTV. Either or. Anyways, when I was younger,
I skipped the first 20 episodes.
They sure did.
Which was a choice, and arguably the correct one.
But so, I enjoyed GT when I was younger. Perhaps my tastes were unrefined at the time, but so when I was watching Daima, it was like it just it felt recycled.
So
like it's a very beautiful show, but
it definitely towed the line between homage and recycling. So like to like kind of go over Daima a bit. The first arc of let's enter the demon world, have some demon world shenanigans, completely fuck with the power scaling, and have Goku eat weird burgers. Pretty good TV. I will say I got pissed that the plane kept falling. The plane just kept exploding. I don't even know if that was a bit or not. When they get to the second demon world, and now we have Vegeta and Piccolo and Bulma. Bulma had no reason to be in this show because they made a female Bulma specifically for some reason. I don't know why. It was a weird writing choice to introduce a character who was Demon Bulma and then introduce regular Bulma and do nothing with either of them.
Well, yeah, so, like, coming around to the Vegeta and Bulma,
this is some of their best character development in the franchise.
Well, okay, so, I mean, their character development aside, I just found it an interesting choice, where it's like, Bulma, Vegeta, and Piccolo stay behind because Bulma is fixing the ship. And then
They just show up with a different ship.
Yeah, she fixes the ship. The ship doesn't work. They're like, oh no, we can't get this mineral on Earth. And then immediately they start a second episode. On the side of the next episode, they just show up with the ship. And they're like, oh no, we need pins to activate warp. And then they're just like, yeah, I'll just call my pin code guy that just gives out pins for free. And it's like there was a lot of times where they said there was an obstacle, and then it just wasn't.
So I think part of its problem is it's very first draft. Like, it feels like this didn't go through an editor. And I think people forget that Toriyama had a fantastic editor as well on Dragon Ball, and that's who they need to get on some of these shows. So dig him up from the grave as well and have them both working on it. Because it's like, that is a very Toriyama thing to do, is we need to fix the plane. Oh, here's another plane. And typically it's because he was part of a team, and they'd be like, no. What do you know? So here's what's interesting about the Vegeta Bulma thing. I'm going to go into an internet debate, and I'm curious your thoughts on it. The internet is furious that Vegeta... half the internet is furious that Vegeta simps for his wife. I believe you can't simp for your wife. You're just a wife guy, and that's a good character trait.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was actually a debate. Like, I thought that was a good characterization of him. I knew it was kind of a weird bit where they're like, you better come down here and stop fighting, or else I'm never going to take a bath with you again.
That is my favorite
but
bit.
It was funny. So it was funny.
That bit's funny for 3 reasons you didn't think of.
Okay.
So first, it stops the momentum for him to fly down instantly, and that was just like such a unexpected camera cut that I'm like, that was funny. But the thing you didn't realize that's really funny is Goku has a confused face, because Goku's taken baths with Bulma before and they weren't that exciting. So that's the second joke where I really lost him. Like, Goku's like, I'm like, yeah, he knows. It's just not that interesting. You just get soap in your eye. Why would Goku care? And then you look at like everyone else in their face, just like, I can't believe this. But then you think about like what Vegeta's plot arc as he actually was, where he went from blowing up from his family to like actually listening to his wife. I'm like, I'm so happy Bulma's there. They just that pansy character became pointless. Bulma and Vegeta don't ever actually get screen time together.
That's true.
I enjoy watching them interact. Like, some of the best parts of Super were them just like living their lives, because Vegeta living his life is objectively hilarious.
Like when he takes Trunks to the amusement park.
So I was completely on board with that bit, because that bit was legitimately funny. But also, Team Bulma gets away with 3 things. Bulma and Vegeta's banter was fun, and then Hybis is just the man, the myth, the legend. And Dragon Ball Daima is worth it entirely for adding Hybis to the canon. There's a bit where Hybis is like just straight up hitting on Bulma, and then she's like, I'm married. And he's like, that's fine. And that killed me. That line killed me. And then, I was not going to have some mud wine. What's mud wine? It's mud wine. It sucks. It's just, hey, I want your magic belt. Cool. I want your hat. I'm not going to fall for your seduction nonsense. I want your hat. Hybis, the man, the myth, the legend.
Okay. But so what are your thoughts on Demon King Goma?
So, Goma's interesting, but not. So, Goma, before when he was just peel-offing it up, I was fine with Goma watching Dragon Ball clips and be like, oh no, we gotta scheme and do things.
Right.
And then when he turned into cosplay Jiren, I was a little less on board.
Right.
Like, I enjoyed his magic eye throwing rocks at people and things. Like, I kind of enjoyed, like, the theatrics of it. I don't know. I think I actually liked Goma. I just would have liked him more if he was more wizard and less jacked guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird because until the moment that he got the third eye, he, like, everyone was saying don't underestimate him, but, like, he didn't appear to be a threat in any way.
And the thing is, I think, like, for a Dragon Ball villain, like I said, you can have a doofy Dragon Ball villain. Like, even Frieza was doofy till he wasn't.
Right.
But, like, I think what Goma was missing is A, an editor to look over the script and clean up some of the loose ends, like when they had the off-brand Ginyu Force for some reason. But B, Goma, like, needed to be more active in his plan. I think if Goma had gotten the eye himself through, like, wizard trickery,
Right.
that would have done the trick. Like, I think that's all that was missing was, like, Goma doing some shenanigans. Or
Because really, he just like sat around watching the Dragon Balls get collected and I don't know, waiting for Dende to grow up.
right? So, like, if he had done more to mess with them, like, if he had done some more Rita Repulsing, like, watch on the view screen, like, did magic to screw with them, like, if Goma was sniping their plane, that would have helped immensely. Like, imagine if all the random bullshit they hit had that, like, Team Rocket effect of Goma's like, fine, I'm gonna crash them on Giant Island, and then he snaps his staff down and the plane crashes. And he's like, well, I guess that didn't work. I'm gonna put a bounty out against them. Like, if he was the cause of their problems, he would have nailed it as an ending. Because I don't think his personality was the issue. I think he didn't peel off enough. Like, he needed to be more responsible for things going wrong.
I think that you're right. That would have made him a much more well-rounded villain. Because as it was, like say, they kept that's my main complaint in general is just that they just kept saying things were obstacles and then they just weren't.
Right?
Like,
where Goma could have been giving them obstacles.
So, like, Kid Goku being in a kid body, right? You remember in Dragon Ball where Goku lost the World Martial Arts Tournament because his legs were shorter than Jackie Chun's?
Yep. That would have been a great callback, by the way.
That would have been an amazing callback, and it actually would have given some weight to the idea that his kid body is just not as effective as his adult body. But his kid body never really seemed to actually pose any issues at all.
Well, the thing is, like, I get the writing choice for the kid body. I actually don't like, where they started the show where Sketchy Namekian dude turns them into kids to nerf them. Was a reasonable choice from a writing point of view. They wanted to, it's like, Daima was them trying to redo GT, in a sense. And this made more sense than what GT did.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, I see where you're going with this. So, no problem with that. However, it's like, it was hard to gauge, I hate to do this, power levels of characters. And it's like, I see why they did it, though, is that way for the fight at the very end, they could be like, let's bust out our movie quality animation and go ham with it. But, like, to go back to the Goma third eye thing.
Yeah.
I do think, like, part of the problem was wasn't the one who got the third eye. Like, I don't even think the third eye as a MacGuffin bugged me much. Because the payoff for the third eye was amazing. So let's talk about the new characters they added to this. Goma was okay. Degasu forgot, aka Budget Zamasu, forgot to actually do anything.
Right. He had some sort of evil plan where he was planning on kidnapping Dende and running away till Dende grows up, I guess.
What's insane is he got the evil eye for Goma and didn't try and steal it. So here's what I would have done. I would have added an episode to the show. So I would have had, instead of it being a random harlot, I absolutely would have had Degasu sexy jutsu and steal the belt himself, because that would have made that bit even funnier. Because they mentioned that Kais don't have a gender, yet for some reason Countess Von Underboob is a Kai, which would have no reason to have boobs, because they specifically mentioned that they grow from trees and don't have genders.
Yeah, okay.
So what would have been good payoff for that would be if the other Kai's like, oh yeah, Kais can just look however they want. So he turned himself into Barrios Von Underboob to try and get the belt, to then have Goma, like, actually ice him with a spell or, like, Mafuba him or something. So then we get that fight where, like, we see Goma just get betrayed by Degasu and then Degasu get wrecked. Would have been great.
Right.
So, and it's like, you wouldn't have even had to change a line of dialogue. You would have just added an interaction between them.
Yeah.
However, Daima will continue to be a necessary part of the canon in my books, because Majin Kuu and Majin Doo are the best boys, who deserve all of the head pats.
Majin Kuu and Majin Doo.
Majin Kuu is amazing. He's good at errands, he volunteered to run them, he's good at books, and deserves to be the rightful king. I have no problems with how that ended. I was very happy.
Okay, I am a little bit confused Again, like it's really hard to tell how powerful anyone is in the series. But why was Goma able to react to Piccolo punching him in the back of the head, but not Majin Kuu?
So my
Again,
headcanon for this is so Goma does this giant tornado thing and is distracted because he got like a massive super hole blown through his chest.
right.
And then I think Kuu pulled a Krillin and he didn't sense Kuu because Kuu was too shitty.
Hmm.
Although
That's true.
Although
Kuu was
powerful,
weaker than the Tamagamis.
so that's my headcanon is that he didn't sense Kuu, and also the joke of maybe the book has an answer and then just hitting him with it 3 times was worth it.
Fair enough.
Followed by the other joke of Glorio just stepping on the eye and it making the most satisfying squish noise. I found that immensely satisfying. Just be like squish.
Well, so I don't imagine that you'll actually have any real answers aside from they needed better editors. But like Deborah stole the eye from the vault of his father, right? So when Goma uses the eye, and he gets super jacked and super powerful, and every time he like gets beaten up, he just gets restored by the eye. There didn't actually seem to be any sort of drawback or reason why a Demon King would just stop wearing the eye.
So here's my theory for that one. Ignoring the classic, they forgot to give it a downside where it should have. Like, I'm surprised they didn't just say the eye makes you go crazy. But here's my headcanon. The eye has a weakness. If you're smacked 3 times in the back of the head, you lose the eye.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other guy just puts the eye in. And then you're screwed.
Right.
So it's like, my logic is you wouldn't keep the eye in all the time because you can't be 1 billion feet tall in your house. Like, it's just impractical to be infinitely strong forever. But I think that Deborah's strategy was he didn't want to use the eye because he didn't want to steal it. And my also understanding is the eye only seems to work in the demon world. Like, it moves the rocks around and bodies around, like repairs them from the demon world. So maybe Deborah's like, this isn't going to be helpful when I bounce.
Well, I mean, I think Deborah was planning on taking the eye for himself, and then his minion just
stole it.
Yeah.
So that's my logic, is that the eye was probably like stolen by a minion, and the main reason you would not just wear it all the time is, I don't know, like, it probably would like make you become less rational, would be my theory.
Yeah.
They forgot to do that. Alright, but here's the reason why Daima can burn in a hellfire, though.
Oh?
So there's one thing happened in Daima that I'm super pissed about.
Okay.
So, Old Man Namekian can awake your hidden potential. Sure, I'm fine with that. We see him use it on the Tamagami. Makes sense, he made the Tamagamis. We see him use it on Goku. It makes him Super Saiyan 4 for some reason. I would have accepted an explanation of I infused him with Demon World power. Demon plus Super Saiyan makes Super Saiyan 4. Sure, it looks demon-y. I would have accepted that. I would have accepted, I use my Namekian healing powers to give you your tail back. That gives you Super Saiyan 4. I would have accepted that. I would have accepted because you're Kid Goku, and you still have a tail, you can Super Saiyan 4. I would have accepted that too. You know what I don't accept? Goku and Vegeta having a conversation afterward, and Goku just be like, I guess I have been working on it on the side. Because that invalidates all of Dragon Ball Super, because this happens before Super. This show would have been 100% canon without any questions or issues whatsoever had they not added a scene where they ruined it. Because they could have just not explained it, and then my assumption of, you need the Namekian dude to give you the power-up would have just stood and we were good. But they went out of their way to animate and voice a scene to invalidate their own show at the end of it. Why? Why would you do that?
I was definitely a little bit confused. But I mean, the whole transformation sequence, like, say what you will about GT, but Goku going Uzaru, and then, like, the touching moment where Pan brings him back to sanity, and, like, that was a top-tier transformation, and it gave that transformation a lot of weight, where, like, firstly, Goku can just go Super Saiyan in his kid body, because whatever.
I'm
and
weirdly
then for
fine with
some
that
reason
because Goten and Trunks can.
Well, yeah, but I mean, then he just like is like, oh, I guess I have to go Super Saiyan 3. It's like, okay. And then, yeah, the transformation from Super Saiyan 3 to Super Saiyan 4, it was just like, initially, anyways, like I say, it didn't have any weight. But then everyone's all surprised when he goes Super Saiyan 4 in his adult body. It's like, that was just such a weird sequence of events.
They forgot to set it up, and there's a lot of ways they could have set it up. Because as you mentioned before, the way they did it originally, looking at the Earth's reflection, and the Earth itself is the moon to turn into a giant ape to have Pen get through to him to awaken Super Saiyan 4, justifies the existence of GT.
Right.
If GT was broken into 3 recap movies, Gundam Seed style, that first movie would be one of the top 3 Dragon Ball Z movies. Shadow Dragon just drops the ball so hard for using any character to do anything. And Android 17 is so boring. So it's like, yeah, no, like, that Super Saiyan 4 was cooler than Super Saiyan God. Super Saiyan 4 was cooler than Super Saiyan God Blue, which was objectively the lamest transformation.
Objectively.
Ultra Instinct was as cool when it wasn't a power-up. So when it's just like, oh, he got so exhausted his body just moved on its own, that's sick. Like, they played it that he used a spirit bomb, burned out his energy completely, and then his body's just moving as a husk, and it's just pure martial arts was cool. But then it turned into a power-up of a hair color change. I'm like, no, you had it the first time. The first time was cool.
Well, I mean, then that also brings up the differences between the manga and the anime, because in the manga, it was like Master Roshi was very close to being able to just do Ultra Instinct and hold his own against Jiren with that power.
Although you've heard my rant about the manga, where its problem is that it's not willing to rewrite the entire show. So my problem with the manga being like, oh, we'll just skip this arc, but we'll do other arcs differently. I'm like, no, rewrite the whole show, you bastard. You don't get to say, I assumed you read the other thing, if you're not going to actually follow the other thing. And there's a few parts, like, they did better in the manga, and a few parts they did worse. But, like, Daima as a whole, like, as a self-contained story, because it was funnier, gets a lot of points over, like, various chunks of the franchise. The Super Saiyan 4 was stupid. And it could have been set up, but it wasn't. Like, if you're going to have Neva do that, you should have teased it earlier by when he powered up the Tamagami, making the Tamagami go red and furry.
or at least some throwaway line about infusing them with demon power or something, like you say.
Or, you know what would have been sick? So we add an episode in where they're exploring the second demon run, and they just find an island of Ozarus.
Ooh.
Right? And then, like, Neva goes, it's like, what are those? I'm like, those are the Ozarus. We heard a few of them escaped into Universe 7 years ago, and we never know what happened to them. They said that they evolve over time. And then Neva's like, boom, I activated your latent Ozaru power. Boom, nailed it. I don't... The problem is they didn't have a completed script before they started animating this thing. That's what happened.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it.
No, it was stated in an interview. They did not have a completed script while they were animating it.
Really?
Yep, which is a choice. A bad one. You're the most popular anime franchise in the world. Why would you? But yeah, like, to like kind of wrap that up, like, was this better than Dragon Ball Super Superhero, where they're like, oh, we're just gonna bring back the Red Ribbon Army and Cell? Yeah. It had more creativity than a lot of Dragon Ball projects I've seen. Like, here's a hot take. He only used the Kamehameha 3 times, and each time he used it was really cool.
Fair.
No one yelled out an attack name from Dragon Ball Z. So, here's a hot take. In Dragon Ball Z, a character never used a technique twice. In, like, canon Dragon Ball Z, really.
I mean, aside from the Kamehameha.
Right? Like, Hellzone Grenade, Final Flash, like, everything that happened in the Cell Saga was, like, a one-or-done kind of thing. And there's a few things that, like, Destructo Disc got used, like, twice. But I don't even think he named it in the manga. And then, like, Solar Flare got used a couple times. But they, like, weren't spamming attack names. Where you get to, like, Super, Vegeta's Gallic Gunning every episode. The Super Saiyan 4 planet-busting, 3-layer creating Kamehameha Blast was cool.
Hmm.
The Super Saiyan 4 transformation was lame compared to GT. That Kamehameha was one of the top 3 Kamehamehas of all time. It was a cool concept to blow through 3 planets.
Right.
At least in my opinion. What do you think?
I would definitely say that was cool. You know, blasting through the Demon Lord, well, through King Goma, and then through the 3 realms to create new pathways.
Although,
and it's just like the demon realms themselves, I will say, were really like interesting and unique with how they were like layered.
like I said, there's a lot to enjoy there, but like, there's no reason from the narrative they written for Super Saiyan 4 to be there other than make the GT parallel more obvious.
Mm-hmm.
No reason to be there. Also, another reason that Daima can rot in hell. The fusion bugs.
You didn't like the bugs?
I would have loved the bugs if they used them.
That's true. They didn't actually use the bugs.
They introduce fusion bugs and then don't pay it off. So I would have hated if they fused Goku and Vegeta into Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. That would have been lame. I wanted characters I wasn't expecting to get fused to do stuff. You know what would have been immensely cooler than Super Saiyan 4? Goku and Glorio fusing into Glory Kuu.
The Glorku?
Glorku would have been awesome. Also, Piccolo was the most underutilized concept. So they were like retcon of Namekians were actually demons, and Demon King Piccolo was actually a demon.
Yeah, okay.
Piccolo did nothing. He did less than Pan. Like, he did nothing in this show.
Hey, he failed to punch Goma in the back of the head twice.
Any other character could have failed to punch Goma in the head. The thing that made Piccolo interesting would have been, like, references to Demon King Piccolo. Like, I wanted him to walk down a street and have, like, some tambourine-looking motherfucker bow. Right? Like, I would have loved it if Piccolo rolled up and people were like, oh god, former Demon King Piccolo. Like, I would have loved if they, like, slipped in a retcon that Demon King Piccolo was who was in charge before Dabura. Like, they could have done so much with Piccolo in Demon World. Instead, he should have just waited on the lookout like everyone else.
Yeah, that's true. Piccolo did. I'm pretty sure he did literally nothing.
The problem is they gave what he should have been doing to Shin. Because, like, they brought Shin to be the character who explains the Demon World. Piccolo would have worked just as well. And I don't think one would have worked better than the other, because they both would have been an effective straight man for comedy. But they didn't need both.
Well, and then, like you say, they doubled up on the female mechanic genius.
Right? Like, my other hot take is, I don't think they needed the second crew. As much as I enjoyed Vegeta going Super Saiyan 3, which I actually kind of did, because that one's one of those retcons where like, well, why did you go Super Saiyan 3 against Barris? I'm like, because Super Saiyan 3 kind of sucks. It drains your power too fast. So he just raged out and punched him instead. Because, of course, Vegeta wouldn't try Super Saiyan 3 after he heard Super Saiyan 3 Goku got knocked out in one punch. Yeah, I'm going to charge for 10 minutes against the guy who one-shots that. Why would I do that? But, like, the Vegeta and Bulma moments were legitimately good. Here's what should have happened. Vegeta, Goku, Bulma, and Piccolo should have been in the ship that went with Glorio. Because sending a second crew was pointless. They didn't do anything interesting. They never split the party.
Yeah.
Like, the D&D joke is never split the party. The writing joke is always split the party.
Yeah, well, so, like, there was another weird choice that they made. Again, like, so, Goku, or Vegeta beats up the random thugs, right?
Yep.
And then their plane gets stolen.
Because that's the show. Planes just go to the ground in a show where people can fly, sure.
Right. But so then, Goku and crew show up to be like, oh, sorry, we can't actually take you along, because our ship's not big enough.
God, was that a waste of screen time.
Yeah, well, and then not only that, but then the villain, the nameless thugs, come to beat him up and they just get their plane back. And there was another one of those things that was like, you said this was an obstacle, but it wasn't.
So here's what I would have done there. So you have 2 crews and 2 objectives. Objective 1, get the Dragon Balls and fight the Tamagami. And Objective 2, rescue Dende and beat up Goma.
Which would have made sense for Piccolo to be on that team, because he's Namekian.
So here's what I would have done is, Goku goes and fights the first Tamagami. And I enjoyed the Tamagami fight. I would have made the Tamagami a bit stronger, honestly. Because it's like, Goku goes Super Saiyan. Technically, he went Super Saiyan 2 during that fight. The online Discord really tried to debate the hairbang, because Super Saiyan 2 is not visible. It just has the little zappy zaps.
Right.
And then he played a shell game. I'm fine with that. I kind of enjoyed their now a test of skill part. That's a fine mechanic for me. But then, when Vegeta and pals met up with them, they should have went, okay, we're going to go directly to the 3rd Demon World, so Goku and Crow goes directly to the 3rd, and then Vegeta and Crew go to the 2nd, and now we have cut-ins bouncing between these characters. Because then having 2 identical crews isn't a problem if they travel separately. So then we get Vegeta fights the Kraken, hates seafood, bugs, mud wine, Hybus trying to talk them into a 3-way, fights the Tamagami, and then we have Goku actually dealing with Goma and Goma City, which means that we can have Goma be a problem when they're in the 3rd Demon World, and then you can have Vegeta then double back and pick up the army when that army shows up to help them. Like, you get the idea, right? Like, you split the tasks, so then your characters can be doing different things.
Yeah.
Because the show keeps thinking Goku and Vegeta have entertaining on-screen chemistry. They don't.
They do not.
You know who have entertaining on-screen chemistry? Vegeta and Hybus. Because Hybus is so clueless and so done with his corporate 9-to-5 job, Vegeta's threats mean nothing to him. Like, what are you going to do? Put me in a minimum wage job?
Yeah, Hybus was a highlight of the show.
I also really enjoyed Glorio. Like, there's a few moments where Glorio like just pulls a gun on a dude and just splashes his drink in their face. I'm like, you're all right. You're pretty cool. Although,
okay, so I mentioned a while ago, or a little bit back here, that Deborah had the power to turn people to stone with his spit.
Yes.
And you mentioned it was like, oh yeah, maybe if Goma had been like summoning rocks to try and take down their ship and intentionally crashing them onto the giant island or whatever, right?
Like, I wanted him to get Team Rocket with this. Like, I wanted him to cast a spell to turn bees giant kind of bullshit.
Well, so it's like, again, back in Dragon Ball, Goku lost to General Blue, who was objectively weaker, but he had a weird power, namely the telekinesis that he used to like tie them up with ropes or just stop them from moving. And then, General Blue lost because he is a germaphobe, but like, that's one thing that he breaks concentration on holding Goku still because he sees a mouse run in front of him,
which is hilarious.
Right, and so like I was really expecting more demons having quirky magic powers, but for some reason they all just use guns.
Well, it's kind of funny as Glorio's like, demons have magic and shot lightning at Goku. And then everyone switched to guns. Because I agree, quirky demon magic would have been a great choice. Also, the final boss battle shouldn't have been like Super Jack Third Eye Goma. It probably should have been Kuu and Do fusing, if we want someone to actually Fighto.
Yeah.
Because I would have been fine with the villains using the fusion bugs. I'm just mad that Chekhov's fusion bug did nothing. Like, I'm bitter about that.
Majin Dooku.
Right? So the joke being that they fused into Majin Poo?
No, they would just be Dooku. Then they would fight with a lightsaber.
But either way, and also you can do the aesthetic because Kuu looked like Kid Buu and Do looked like Fat Buu, and they'd fuse into Super Buu and be legitimately intimidating.
That's true.
And like, if we really want to do we made Kuu and Do, having them like turn into like a Super Buu and like absorb one of these people we brought along for no reason. Like, there's a lot they could have done with that. But the thing is, like, I don't mind them being reluctant anti-heroes, and I'm happy with President Majin Kuu. Also, right. I've determined that the Glins are racist, judge as a character, nepo babies, and should probably all be killed. So Shin goes up to Arisu, who said, quote, "I want to make the demon world worse." Which I liked her, by the way. Like, her motivation is like, oh, I'm just here to let chaos reign.
Right.
And it's like, actually, I'm going to wish to be the king. I'm like, that's lame. I want your wish to actually be, hey, Gloria, make my wish. What's your wish? I want to rain bees. Or literally, I wish the demon world was worse is actually my wish.
Right.
I mean, she was getting wish jacked and they were being wished back to being adults anyway. That's the only way it could have went.
Right.
But, like, Shin going up and being like, you should be in charge. I'm like, can you think of a single reason other than racism why that is true? What are you talking about? You have a sliver of good in you. No, this is just racism outright. You're like, no, we're the Glins. We're in charge of everyone. I'm like, this is pre-Zamasu, but 2 out of 3 Glins we saw in this miniseries were psychopath tyrants. 2 out of 3. 3 out of 3 if you count Shin.
Well, I mean, he kind of isn't a psychopath, but...
Are you sure? Pretty psychopathic to appoint the person making a new Majin Buu as president. Like, I can't imagine anything that crazy happening in real life. Like, that'd just be wild for a person to be like, I can shoot you on the street and then get elected twice.
That would be pretty wild. But
moving away from obvious fiction. So, like, the ending is kind of funny is the Super Saiyan 4 nonsense was nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, even though you're like, I'm not sure it makes sense that he hit him 3 times with the book, like it was missing something like using like Master Roshi's Zap You technique or something to hold Goma to get smacked by the book. Like I'm finding got smacked by the book. I think it was just missing his brother going all goopy Zuperson and then like tying him up with his body or something. Like have Dew had wrapped him up or full Nelsoned him or something so Koo could do the smack, smack, smack. I don't think we would have had a problem with that.
Yeah, well, it just like there didn't seem to be any meaningful difference between the way Piccolo attacked and the way Koo attacked. But Koo was successful because the show was over. I
mean, counterpoint. Majin Buu went Super Saiyan 3 and that was after being thrown a giant cookie and that was just great.
Majin Buu going Super Saiyan 3 was pretty amazing.
Like, especially the joke that Majin Kuu's like, I can run errands, and that ended up being relevant on 3 occasions. Or him speed reading being the solution to the boss, also being relevant. Like, they wrote him so well. Like, they arced that random Saibabin Majin. Like, yeah, we know his character arc. We know what we're going to do with him. He's a good brother. He's a good assistant. He's going to make his mom a better person. I'm like, no, this is great. Like, this is a fantastic character you decide to introduce like 8 episodes in. That's the emotional core of the show somehow. Like, right after he's like to the Tamagami, I lose, but I can still do other things. Don't fire me.
I'm pretty powerful.
I'm not super powerful, but I'm pretty powerful. I'm like, yeah, no, Majin Kuu supremacy here. I also really enjoyed the bit where Nava's like to the Tamagami, like, wink, go, and he's like, me? Like, yeah, go, and like they just do that awkward bit for like a minute. That was great. He's like, am I allowed to go do the thing? He's like, yeah, go do the thing. Also, Neva not being the big bad. Neva was sketchy as hell.
Yeah, Neva was definitely super sketchy. And it's like, he did all sorts of weird things. And so, again, Warp Sama's disabled. A good thing that Neva's here to disable the gates that he put on there for some reason. Because he didn't like people visiting his homeworld? I don't know.
So, on one hand, I don't hate them putting on the gates to make like a racist case system. Like, had Goma put on the gates, that would have been a good Goma shadowing, right? Like, oh yeah, this is a spell put out by Goma to make our lives worse. That would have been great. And I don't even hate that Neva's like, oh, I've been hanging out here trying to find a way to counterspell this. So it was like, yeah, Goma put on these gates, so we use Warp Sama. You know what? Fuck Goma. But what was missing is, like, an inspirational Piccolo speech. Like, here's how I would have wrote that. The gates are put up by Goma to be racist. Because it's on brand. Right. Makes him a little scarier if he could just create magical portal gates.
Right.
Neva's, like, reluctantly tagging along, and earlier in the episode has a chat with Piccolo, like, oh, how are the people doing anyway? Oh, we're gods now, we're doing great, da-da-da-da-da. this one actually saved our entire race from Frieza. So when Goku's falling to his death, Neva being like, fuck it, and then saving him. Like, the idea that Neva, you could have left him morally gray and be like, oh yeah, I was totally going to let this kid die. But then one of my people came from outside and told me about it, and I figured, you know what, I am going to screw over Goma. Because, like, the idea that, like, he was playing senile, I like it better that he was evil, and then realized that Namekians are a thing again, and it's like, you know what? And did, like, an actual betrayal would have been interesting.
But instead, his character was just the MacGuffin that solves all their problems.
And like I said, if Piccolo's purpose was to convince the MacGuffin to do MacGuffin things, that would have justified Piccolo being there.
Yeah, like you say, Piccolo did absolutely nothing.
Also, because Piccolo's fused with Kami and Nail, it would have been good if Piccolo knew who this Neva guy was. Like, I think it would have been interesting to be like, I know you. You're sketchy as fuck. Like, I would have loved them, like, cat and mousing each other the entire time. Where, like, Neva's endgame was to kill Goma. It could have been really interesting.
Okay, but you said that they actually, like, admitted in an interview that they didn't have a complete draft when they started animating?
Yeah, according to their, like, animation deadlines, they hadn't scripted out the whole thing yet.
Huh.
Wild choice, right? There's a reason why Arcane wins all the awards and Dragon Ball Daima does not.
Well, yeah, like you say, this seems to be very obviously a first draft where they have things that could be really cool obstacles. Like, if they crash land on that mega island and one of them gets kidnapped to be a pet a la Gilligan's Island, and then the rest of the party has to sneak into this giant castle and rescue their captured friend, that would have been a genuine and interesting obstacle for them to overcome.
Right?
But instead, they just fly away.
And also, like, let's go with the plane being stolen. I think the plane being stolen needs to be handled in a non-Fido way. So, like, I would have enjoyed, like, Glorio, like, going through a speakeasy. Like, I would have liked Glorio doing a full noir episode to, like, try and, like, track down their plane. And, like, I would have loved Glorio to just shoot a person in the face. Bring back some of that violence from Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball of, like, Goku just, like, watches Glorio, like, shoot a person in the face and be like, that's not nice. We don't shoot people in the face when they steal our plane, Glorio. Would have been great.
But yeah, I feel like the show was very well animated, and I mean, I almost want to watch GT to see if it's as bad as you say it is.
That would be a fun retroactive to compare. Because I'm going to put a hot take. I think GT had some more ambitious ideas. And I think Daima had more creativity until it didn't. So it was like, GT's an interesting one, because on paper, GT has really cool ideas. Parasite alien that steals all his friends' bodies to build himself a super body to turn into a giant ape. Interesting. The two villains creating an evil plan where they open a gateway to hell to bring back all the old villains. But it hadn't been done to a death yet. The Dragon Ball's cracking from overuse and forming the big bad of Dragon Ball. Great idea. They just forgot they had other characters who weren't Kid Goku. Like, it's funny that I'm still making this complaint. Them being kids in Daima, to put them on the same level as these random demons, was interesting. Like, I didn't hate the idea. I'm not sure how well it held up when you, like, pay attention to it, but I get the idea of why you'd want to nerf them in the first place, so random bandits with guns can actually hurt them.
Right.
But, like, GT, the villains were all already stronger than Goku, so there was no reason to nerf Goku.
Fair.
Right? Like, instead of making Goku a kid again, it should have been adult Goku. Pan should have had more of Goku's personality. I think if the Grand Tour was Pan, Goku, and Oob, and Pan and Oob trying to, like, straight man each other, and then Goku pulling was Cell Saga Goku, of, like, I don't want to step in until I have to, because this is a learning experience for these kids.
Right.
That would have been really compelling, right? Because you would have Pan with Goku energy going and picking fights, starting problems, causing chaos, being a chaos gremlin. You would have had Oob, the character who grew up from like a poor village, trying to be like the straight man. Here's what we're doing. So it'd be like almost like the Bulma Goku dynamic from Dragon Ball would be Pan being the Goku and Oob being the Bulma, while Goku is taking more of a Master Roshi role at this point. And then when the Tuffle things start heating up, Goku's like, oh shit, I need to actually do stuff now. Because once like the Tuffle invasion happens, he doesn't need to be Kid Goku anymore, because it is reasonable for Vegeta and Gohan and Goten and Trunks and Piccolo all jumping him at once to ruin his day.
Right.
Like, that made sense. So that's my thing, is like, no, you should have kept him adult Goku, but like the Goku who's actually trying to help the next generation, and let Pan be the narrative lead in GT. Daima's problem was actually just a lack of focus. Because I don't think they had they had two crews. And like I was saying, had those crews been allowed to operate independently and accomplish shit, their problem was, as you keep saying, they forgot to give them actual obstacles, and they forgot to make the villains actual threats.
Yeah.
Because them being kids means they should have had actual threats. Like, as you mentioned, someone getting... What would have been a weirdly good use of Vegeta is if all of them went at the start and Vegeta got stone hit. Like, boom. Just take it out, spit on is a rock. Because I think it would have been objectively funny to watch Bulma with, like, a Vegeta statue tied to her back, bitching her entire way through trying to find an antidote. Then would have, like, given them an actual problem.
Yeah. Because, I mean, even them being turned into kids didn't really actually seem like a problem. Like, the problem that Dende got kidnapped is relatively serious, but Dende didn't really seem to be the emotional core. Like, as soon as they got to the demon world, it's like, oh, actually, let's fight the Tamagami. It's like, well, what about Dende? Don't you know
what's wild is they could have fixed it. It would have been really easy to fix. When Dende got turned to a kid, Earth Dragon Balls turn off. Then there's only one way to bring them back, and it's the Demon Dragon Balls.
Right.
Other than the Namekian Dragon Balls, which also exist. Honestly, they could have just solved all this by warping to New Namek and making a wish, and it would have just been fixed in 30 seconds.
The last thing I want to say that kind of bugged me about Daima, so Goku's like, oh, I'm not used to my kid body, my range isn't the same. Oh, I'll just go get the Nioibo. I was like, okay, that's cool. And he does actually, like, use it. But I almost feel like whenever he actually gets serious, he just throws it to the side.
Oh, yeah.
I almost feel like I got nostalgia baited, where there's like, check it out, he has this Nioibo again. And I don't fall for nostalgia bait very often, but I don't know what I expected the Nioibo to actually do, but I was sad that it actually wasn't relevant at all.
You know, kind of a hot take. As much as I enjoyed the Vegeta Bulma scene, how much better do you think Daima would have been if it was just Goku, Glorio, Shin... I would have swatched out Shin with Piccolo. So it would have went Goku, Piccolo, Glorio, and didn't bring in Vegeta until the very end when they'd fixed their ship. Because I do think part of it, too, was, like, part of the threat factor not being a threat, it's weird, is they nerfed the characters, but then never had them lose a fight. I think Goku needed to lose to that first Tamagami. I think if
or something.
Because if Goku, like, just, like, didn't beat it, or I also would have been fine with him, like, going Super Saiyan 3, beating it and being, like, a pile on the ground. Because then you had Kuu and Do beat the third one, and that would set the stakes, right? If Goku is equal to Tamagami 1, and then Majin Kuu beats Tamagami 3, then you're like, oh, these are actually dangerous.
Yeah. That was, like, I guess one of the things I texted you when I was suggesting this as a title, or an episode, I mean, is that they forgot to set a reference point for how powerful these characters actually are relative to the new kid bodies.
Like, they need to get
So-
beat up. Like, to be perfectly
Yeah.
clear, like, they need to get... First day, they show up in Demon World. They get jumped by generic thugs. Goku can beat up generic thugs while eating a burger. That's fine. That's some classic Dragon Ball shenanigans. But somewhere around episode 3 or 4, he needed to just get his shit stomped.
Yeah. And then they need to like regroup and actually fight strategically, you know?
Like, you know what would have been actually pretty good? So, you know what they could have done with Gomu that would have been fun? So they go into the first Demon World, right? And then Gomu's like, we need to go stop them. Gomu shows up, hand waves, and just warps the party to random spots in the Demon World. Or it would also would have been really fun if, like, Gomu shows up, and then his Kai friend, like, puts a hand on the shoulder of, like, some other character, like Gloria or whoever, and then, like, teleports them away, so it's just Goku and Goma, and then Goma wrecks his shit. Or even before they left the lookout, I think getting Wish to Kids, and then Goku getting beat up by Goma would have been correct.
Well, yeah, because Goma literally didn't do anything until he got the third eye, and he just was the demon. Like, it just seemed like Kid Goku could have just soloed the Demon World on his own.
Yeah, he could have, objectively.
I mean, even the supposedly massive army of Gendarmerie that had them pinned down for some reason is like, they're generic thugs that are weaker than a Tamagami. Why is Goku struggling?
Well, what's kind of interesting is it's like, they like casually threw away, it's like, this level of the Demon World's heavy, this one's watery, this one's really hot, but they forgot to like make those handicaps matter. If Goku's like, I'm exhausted because I can't breathe, would have been like pretty reasonable.
Well, exactly.
But also, it's kind of a thing that people forget about Dragon Ball. So, in early Dragon Ball, Goku solos everybody for the most part, right?
Right.
And they remember that, oh yeah, Goku went and beat up the entire Red Ribbon Army. They forget that in every plot arc, at least one person exists to slap Goku's shit. Like, Roshi rolled up specifically with the goal in mind to be humble Goku. Goku's win-loss in Z is terrible. Because, like, we get to the Red Ribbon Saga, and he loses to Blue. He has a really bad day with White, like, when he gets, like, literally kicked out of the tower. Like, he's just found in a snowbank. He gets demolished by Tao. Just absolutely slaughtered.
Yeah.
Gets bodied by King Piccolo. Gets bodied by Tien. And like Z's like, oh no, Goku's getting killed episode 1. And then every bone in his body broken in episode 20. And I'm like, yeah, no, you're right. The problem is you turned them to kids to nerf them, and they didn't have anyone beat them up. And like,
so it's just, I have no idea how strong these Tamagami are relative to anything else. And if the Tamagami are weaker than Kid Saiyans, then
what's
the
wild is the
demon itself is
are as strong as Dabura, who's as strong as Perfect Cell.
okay.
So the Tamagamis are as strong as Perfect Cell. Goku.
So then you draw that comparison, and Kid Goku going Super Saiyan, maybe Super Saiyan 2,
Super
is
Saiyan 2.
stronger than Cell?
Super Saiyan 2 Goku, the age that Gohan was when he went Super Saiyan 2 against Cell? Yeah, actually.
You think so?
It would have been if Goku was wrecked afterward. Because if it was a close fight, then yeah, I could buy that Super Saiyan 2 Goku in a kid body was as strong as Super Saiyan 2 Gohan when he fought Perfect Cell after Buu Saga. If that was the metric we're using, I would have bought it if Goku had been like nothing left. I also would have been really happy if Goku lost and the Tamagami's like, huh, you did good and you're a good person. So you lost the fight, but I'll give you a second chance. Let's play a minigame. Because if the Tamagami's like, why do you want the Dragon Ball? It's like, we need to save our friends. And in the Demon World, that'd be weird. No one does good things by default. So if it's like, he would like loses the fight, but it's close, and the Tamagami's like, you know what? Let's play a game. Because then Goku still lost to the Tamagami, but won its respect.
Yeah. And then, like you say, if when Majin Buu beats up the other Tamagami, then it sets that scaling that you know that Buu is a big deal.
And another thing I would have accepted is if Goku went Super Saiyan 3 against that first Tamagami, won, and then was just out, done. Like, it was like, and that is every piece of energy in my body. Should not have done this as a kid. And he's just in the dirt. Like, I'm not just for the episode, like, till the end of the next episode, they had to be carrying him. Because beating the Tamagami drained his battery so hard. That would have been fine, because then Gloria would have had to be useful. Because then they would have had to play Defend Goku for a couple episodes.
Right.
Which is the name of Dragon Ball Z, was the Defend Goku show. But overall, like I said, I still rate it pretty high because the animation was good. The new characters were stellar. Like, even Nevo was like, okay, sketchy Namekian dude. If I got a Dragon Ball Daima 2 to pick up some of these loose ends I never got around to, I'd be fine. I'd be happy with that. But
yeah, that makes sense.
And I don't dislike my placement because, like I said, GT meandered a lot. Daima, in a vacuum, was better than a lot of Super. To rant about Dragon Ball Super, even though episode's going pretty long at this point. So, in Dragon Ball Super, do you remember when they're like, we're going to have a Universe 6 versus Universe 7 tournament?
Right.
Why, in Zeno's name, did they not make Universe 6 as strong as Universe 7? Why did they not have Frieza show up, Frost show up, and then him go Gold Frost and be like, oh, wait a minute, and then have Kappa show up and go Super Saiyan God because he's a good-hearted Saiyan, and 5 Saiyans gave him the power. Universe 6, if they rolled up as strong as Universe 7, Super would have been such a better show. Because the idea is like, oh, Goku and Vegeta are so super powerful now, they don't measure, was the wrong approach. It should have been, they're so super powerful that they're the strongest people in this universe, but it turns out in the parallel universe, other people went through the same shit as they did and are as powerful. Like, I couldn't believe when they're like, yeah, one of the strongest people we're using in this tournament is as strong as Frieza from the Frieza saga. Like, why? There's no stakes here at all. Also, how does Hit not just own that universe? The Dragon Ball superpower scaling is worse than Daima's, for the record.
That is also true.
Because we're like, okay, Goku's so strong he disintegrates asteroids by punching someone else. And then Super Saiyan 1 Kaba is to be taken seriously. And if Hit's strong enough to defeat a literal god of destruction, why does he not just own his universe? Like, the amount stronger he is than everyone else there, if that's your top 5, and we got number 4 is I have Super Saiyan, I just learned. And number 5, it's like number 2 is I just learned Super Saiyan, and number 1 is I can beat up Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. Then I'm sorry, but this guy's so much stronger than everyone else in his universe combined. It's not actually fair. It's like, what do you mean, people? You do things for money. Why would you need money? Goku can shoot a Kamehameha through 3 planets, and you beat him up. You won that fight.
He sure did.
But, like, disregarding how I think Daima may in fact be better than Super. Actually, I think I'll say it. Daima was better than Super.
Well, see, Battle of Gods was so good.
That was Z in a movie.
I'm just saying, Battle of Gods. I mean, I think the movie was much better than the season based on the movie, but
I'm gonna firmly say Battle of Gods wasn't Super. So when Super did Battle of Gods, they took a lot of creative liberties.
Right.
And Beerus is amazing. Peak character, 10 out of 10. Great villain.
Right.
Some of the crap they pulled in the Battle of Gods Super version, where like when they did those punching classes that disintegrated random planets, or that like, oh, there's a bit in the movie where Goku Super Saiyan God wears off and he just starts fighting because he's so awesome. And then the anime, they're like, and he gets God mode back at the end. I'm like, no, you missed the point of all of this. I think the fact that they just had like Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan afterward, and it was just a thing they could do, undercuts Battle of Gods so much that Super is actually makes Battle of Gods worse by what follows afterward.
There.
Because it's like, yeah, no, like, the idea being that Super Saiyan God is as strong as Goku gets, and then Super is him trying to get back to that height. It's such a better plot arc than, actually, I've already surpassed that, but somehow I have problems. Because it's like, if Goku's actually Beerus strong throughout all of Super, why was there even a tournament of power then? Like, who are these other people? Why is Krillin there? If Goku's not... Because there's this bit where he's going around collecting people, and he, like, goes Super Saiyan Blue against Android 17. I'm like, you broke the power scaling, show. You broke this completely. Because no one else should measure at all. If Beerus is one-tapping Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then Goku's now approaching Beerus, why is Tien here? Like, the Tournament of Power I really enjoyed, but its power scaling is just so ridiculously whack, it hurts.
I guess that's fair.
Like, it's ludicrous to be like, oh, Android so-and-so, who is Cell Strong, is fighting Jiren, who one-tapped a god? I don't understand what's happening anymore. So, Daima's power scaling, I think, was actually a lot better. Like, here's my hot take, is the kids thing was weird. But if we go that a Tamagami is equal to Perfect Cell, and we argue that Kid Goku mostly lost stamina and runtime, but technically is as strong as Kid Gohan was in that age, which would be a fair thing to say, then Tamagami won. And if we assume the Tamagamis were getting stronger, and they weren't like 1, 2, and 3 were each a little bit stronger, or if they were the same, we go Goku equal to Super Saiyan 2 Goku, weaker than Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, because Vegeta's Tamagami got a buff. And then Majin Kuu is about as strong as Majin Buu, who fought Super Saiyan 3 Goku, but he's been nerfed and Goku's been nerfed. These characters are all kind of fitting in a relative power scale. And then Goma just had an Infinity Plot X MacGuffin. He had the Hungu, so who doesn't matter. And the problem was, like, the joke being they only appropriately power scaled Kuu and Do, who weren't actually villains. Like, there was never the tag team fight of Goku and Vegeta versus Kuu and Do. That just didn't actually happen.
Yeah, it was so close.
Because, like, I think one of their misplays was being like, Goku taking out the Tamagami means everyone in this demon world is weaker than Goku, except these new characters we made specifically to deal with Goku that we never used to deal with Goku. Yep. But I do think it handled it better than Super, where it's like complete nonsense.
True.
Like, how strong was Future Trunks in Dragon Ball Super? When he pulled out his Spirit Bomb sword using a technique he'd never even heard about.
Yeah, the Future Trunks should not have even been able to hold a candle next to anything in that plot arc, really.
And it's like, they could have made it so he could have, because they're like, oh yeah, he went and trained with the Supreme Kai, and, like, defeated Bobbity, so Boo never got released. I'm like, you screwed up. You had him to train with the Supreme Kai, get his potential unlocked with Gohan, and beat Boo, and now we can believe he's a credible character. Because you let him have 10 years off screen. Since he had 10 years off screen, which he should have been 10 years older because his timeline runs parallel to Goku's timeline. So he should have been like 30. I would fully believe 30-year-old Trunks, after dealing with the Buu Saga by himself, was at Goku and Vegeta's level. Other than the God bullshit, like... Like, I would have been fine with him being a badass in that circumstance.
But I think that's probably enough ranting about Dragon Ball Daima and Super, and we should probably move on to a random question.
I suppose so. I mean,
the more random, the better.
Let's see. Looking for it. Ugh. Already used that.
Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O.
We already used the Life Has a Theme Song one, because we probably talked about how you wrote me a theme song.
I'm not sure if we did, but I did write you a theme song.
Have we done the spirit animal yet?
I don't specifically remember.
All right. What is your spirit animal, and why do you think it's that animal? So mine's raccoon. I am just a trash panda, to my very core of my being. I eat garbage. I'm the exact golden ratio shape of a raccoon. Raccoon is my spirit animal. I have the same dark circles under my eyes, and have committed as many crimes, allegedly.
Hmm. Well, I mean,
Oh,
I, I'm thinking, well, see, a lot of cats are assholes, so it would have to specifically be like a chill cat, like my cat. Her name is Elsa.
aw.
She's very cute. Um, but she's very like chill and indifferent, but not like aggressive and assholey
My
like
cat's
some
a
cats are.
potato. My cat's
Yeah,
pretty chill.
Miko. Miko is another good cat example. So like a small house cat. Uh, I feel like that would be my spirit animal. I'm not a big cat because big cats are, I mean, big cats are pretty athletic, and I don't know if I'm actually that athletic. I think I am, but
Although I do think I used this question wrong. What I should have done is I should have had us pick each other's spirit animal, because that's more interesting. So I would give you a capybara.
capybara. Oh yeah, capybara. That would probably actually be pretty good.
Capybara don't give a shit. Capybara is just out here living its best life in the hot spring, and no one attacks it, has no predators because it's too busy being capybara. So I'd give you capybara.
Hmm. Hmm. Uh. Hmm. I think you might be your spirit animal might be a dolphin.
That's a choice. Are you saying
Well, yeah,
unpleasant things
because
about
they're
me?
no. I'm saying that you're very intelligent and extremely social.
I'm an introvert. I just play a social person on TV. But I'll take it. I'll
I
take
mean,
the answer.
you can only fake being an introvert for so long, or you can only be fake being an extrovert for so long before it becomes true.
Yeah, except when I had a week off and I no longer had to fake being an extrovert, I dropped off the face of the earth for a solid week and it was great.
I mean, I suppose that's true, but
All
I don't know.
right, and
Maybe I'm way off the mark with the dolphin, but that's
I'll take it. Like,
what
I'm
I'm
not
going
gonna
for.
fight you over it, obviously. It's your opinion. It can be wrong. It's your right.
You're so thoughtful.
Glad we build each other up here, clearly. Clearly that is the goal.
Hmm.
All right, in our second one, do do do
Mm-hmm.
do do do. This one's a direct attack against me, clearly. Are you a
Okay.
good dancer?
Uh depends on the dance. I've been called the polka king.
I believe that. That tracks. So, last wedding I went to, one of my friends dragged me onto the dance floor, and I could not be less cool than this person, so I had to try, but I was very drunk. The joke being
Ah.
that I can actually ballroom dance, but it never comes up. Because, like, one of my goals while
Okay.
growing up was to grow up to be Tuxedo Mask or Zex Marquise, and neither of those things happened.
Too bad.
But I will say that I can, in theory, slow dance, and I can also
Mm-hmm.
thrash around randomly to music while drunk. I have that ability. I would not call that dancing.
Uh me and my fiance haven't really actually done anything, but we have enough
Coward.
space in our basement where we could actually like probably actually learn how to dance. So I'm hoping to maybe eventually find some like YouTube tutorials on how to do the
Just take
jive,
a dance
and then when we get
class.
married, we'll
Go
hmm?
take a dance class.
Or I could
If I
learn
had
for free
funds, I
maybe. I
would just
don't
buy you a dance class and make you go take it.
know.
It's good for you.
It probably would be good for me.
And
But
our
in any event, I've always wanted to Dance classes have always interested me. I've just never
I'm just
made
sad
the
I've
time
never
or
been to a.
money for it.
I'm just sad I've never been to a masquerade ball. Like that's so many kinds of my vibe. It's ridiculous. Wow, this last question's so loaded, and I probably shouldn't get into it this late into the episode, but I'm gonna do it. What is your
Mm-hmm.
best idea for a new invention?
Best idea for a new invention?
That could easily be like a 2 hour long episode. Because
Oh no, no. See,
you just got this.
well, I have uh, two options. The first I've probably mentioned before is the Amazing Steakhouse. Not
Yep.
exactly an invention,
That's
but
an. I'll let
the
you have that. The smart maze system, the smart maze
the
system.
yeah the smart maze system. Uh, but idea number two, which I think I may have actually even mentioned to you relatively recently, but um, a dice rolling tray. I don't know what specific application this would have, but a dice rolling tray, uh, which has cameras underneath, and so when you roll a die based on the result that the camera can see, provided it's a normal die where each opposite
Hmm.
side will equal the number of faces plus one. Uh, so with the camera, you could tell what number you've rolled based on what number it can see, and thus would be able to transmit physical dice rolls into a digital environment. I would love to see that. I don't think it actually exists.
Well,
There are
I've
similar-ish
seen
products,
smart
but I don't
dice that
think
aren't
that's
quite there. Because in smart
no,
dice,
no.
you have to use a
The
specific
dice
dice, but
aren't
that's still
smart.
cool. That's what
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
smart dice cool.
yeah.
So I have
You can
two.
use any die.
So my first invention was what I want the Switch 2 to be, which is you got a handheld
Okay.
console they can plug
Mm-hmm.
a card into, but as a built-in LED projector where wherever you set it up, it then becomes a projector to play on any surface. It's
Ooh.
like I want a Game Boy I can project on a movie theater screen and just play because that'd be awesome. So that's my
I
first
mean,
new
yeah,
invention because that'd be sick. And my
that
sec
would be insane.
and my second invention is
Excuse me.
how can I put this? It was I really want to make. I think I've told you this before for working on board game. A character tracker that basically uses like crib pens and is like a nice wooden character tracker that you use to like track your stats in a board game. I don't know. I just think it'd be neat to make one of those, but classy. It's less of an invention though.
I mean, that's true. I've seen a variety of different character tracker items in board games, but the crib style board would be pretty nice.
And I think that's that. And with that, thank you everybody for tuning in to Richard and Karl bitch about Dragon Ball Daima. And may the Hibis be with you.
And
Praise
self care, hydrate, exercise.
and praise Supreme Overlord Majin Kuu. Kuu 2024 got my vote. I love the line of I was like, wait, is he actually going to be really good at this? Show was worth it for him alone. Bye.
Bye.